Hey, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to our collective reading for the week. A few days late, I'm sorry. These are general readings. Take what works, leave what doesn't. Yeah. Looking at my scrying ball today, there was a whole circus coming through here, an animal circus. There was an elephant on a little stool. I mean, the kind of circus we've banned at this point. There was a seal, a little performing seal. There was a lion in here, and a lion tamer. There's, yeah, those are probably the highlights. All right, well, we have a giant bouquet here. I'm not quite sure what to do with this. This is too many. Botanical inspirations. These are based on Victorian ideas that flowers have meaning to them, and we can put them all together in a bouquet. Like we have here, a very large bouquet here, and there's meaning to them. So we have daffodil, narcissus, rebirth, and new beginnings. New beginnings are often disguised as painful endings, Lao Tzu. So something may have already ended in your life, but this flower of spring, basically, a new cycle beginning after some rest, perhaps. We have pink rose, primrose, tuberose. So that's the rose grouping here. Pink rose, grace, sweetness, the pursuit of perfection then is the pursuit of sweetness and light. Pink rose, this is a lot of information. Rebirth, new beginnings, grace, sweetness, so some gentleness here, I think. Primrose, youthful love. If I had a single flower for every time I think of you, it could walk forever in my garden. So primrose, that seems to go with rebirth and new beginnings, a youthful love. And we have tuberose, dangerous pleasure. The secret of reaping the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment from life is living dangerously. To live dangerously. The tuberose, this one I definitely went down a rabbit hole on. This is the quotes by Nietzsche. Because the Victorians thought it was a very lewd rose. It only blooms at night, and it gives off a certain fragrance that only the tuberose has. And it wasn't until recently where they were studying the chemical compounds that the tuberose were releasing, and it's the same chemical compounds that humans sort of exude while orgasming. So the Victorians were on to something with banning this, well, not banning it, but with being a little shocked by this particular flower. So, and then we have hydrangea, thankfulness for understanding. Before we can forgive one another, we have to understand one another. And honeysuckle, woodbine, domestic happiness, devoted affection. Wow, these are all really positive. This is such a great bouquet. I mean, these flower things do tend to be a little positive at any rate. So, well, let's bring them over here. Let's put them in the center. Thankfulness, domestic happiness, devoted. This is great. Grace, sweetness. All right, well, we'll move on. After that really gorgeous start there. And then the Dreamscape Oracle here. This is interesting. This came out while I was shuffling. The silence. I found it somewhat disturbing because what are we not speaking of? What are we not saying? And then we have the Selkie too. It almost seems like forbidden from speaking on something. Something has taken you out of your nature. Not talking about something that perhaps there's a sense, wow, we start off so beautiful, and then the silence and the Selkie are both a little bit disturbing here. Restrictions. The Selkie talks about restrictions. not self-imposed restrictions, but situationally imposed restrictions or restrictions by other people. And the silence talks about things that aren't being spoken of course. You or somebody else. But this silence is creating, I want to almost say like a emotional straitjacket, or something in which we're not able to fully express ourselves, or haven't been able to fully express ourselves. Or someone is not fully expressed. There could be a secret that does have a profound effect on somebody else. Somebody has not spoken on something, either the ways in which they're trapped. Someone may not be speaking on or having verbally expressed the way that they are trapped in a situation, the way that they are stuck here. And this may be like they're not allowed to talk. This almost seems like a non-disclosure agreement or something like that. I think the silence and the Selkie, both of these states of not being connected to self, or not being connected to, not being able to communicate something. It's almost like the Selkie is out of their element, but not able to say anything, or not saying anything. Both of these characters are in some amount of pain and frustration. They're experiencing frustration here at not being able to speak on something, or not feeling free. Neither of them feel free, feel freedom of self-expression. Well, that was quite a juxtaposition to all of this other stuff. I wonder if it's like within this other stuff, this beautiful rebirth, beginning, love, pleasure, thankfulness, this just sounds like so harmonious. And then we have the silence and the Selkie almost feeling like a stone dropping through a beautiful, gorgeous pond. It's not like it would be bad, but it's just like this texture of the situation. It's like there's like you're eating some gorgeous, yummy, delicious ice cream, and there's a pit in it. There's like cherry ice cream, and then you hit a pit or something. I can see, so far that's what that feels like, is there's like a disruption to the texture that's gonna like chip a tooth here. Oh, there are cherries here, huh? I thought I was pulling that metaphor from someplace else, but here we go. Wow, all right, we gotta stop this. I'm going to stop this right here, and right now I'm not even going to finish the shuffle because this is out of control. These cards are like, hey girl, you were 2 days late, and we have a lot to say now. First one's out were dominance and mimicry. Hierarchy, something mimicking a hierarchy, something could look like something it isn't, something could look like, well, with the dominance, we're just going to take this like this, with the dominance with the Selkie, that's exactly what the Selkie has experienced, is some sort of dominance, so a man has taken her true nature, her fish nature, her emotional nature, and until they give it back, they own her. So there's a sense of ownership here. I want to say male or female here because the patriarchal ideas remove ownership of emotions, ownership of our emotional life from both masculine and feminine characters, or both from males and females here. So this dominance is almost like a power play here, but with the mimicry, the situation may look like dominance, but may not actually be. Or it could be the opposite, where it seems like it's mimicking some sort of dominant, playing at that, mimicking something, looking like it is something. And here we have the crow, saying, "Come here, scout." And this dog is very confused because you're mimicking my owner, but you're not. But you sound like it. And it's very confusing. Oh. No, really. Again, so we have the fog here, which is sort of started coming in with this one for me. It's just very confusing, a lack of clarity. This whole top row is just the dream. The bouquet is just like this really beautiful, gorgeous vision. And then these other ones start getting into some more difficult territory. So again, we have the fog. Something's actually not very clear here. The fog is reminding me of the silence, the lack of clarity, the lack of clarity. Because in the silence, the fog really deadens the sound waves. Not to get too literal about it, but both of these are about not being able to see or hear or speak something very clearly. And there being like a fog of confusion. I think this mimicry, something looking like something it isn't, is also creating some confusion as well. But the fog is just really reminding me of this silence, the deadened perception. And there's something external about the deadened perception, about the foggy perception, not being able to see something very clearly. Well, and that's exactly the point of the mimicry, is that you can't see something very clearly. We have warning here. So everything just looks really great over here, but underneath it all is this, we have fog, silence, dominance, mimicry, warning. We have a fire here, we have the smoke. What's interesting is this lamp has the same energy. So there is some sort of guidance here. There's silence and fog, and then there's some sort of clear guidance about something. There is a warning. And this light that shines through and cuts through this fog is letting you know. It's letting you know something. It's letting you know that it's like a burst of the thing you need to be aware of. And this whole reading so far is the thing you need to be aware of with the mimicry. If something looks like something else. It's very... Oh my gosh, okay. So warning, so being aware, knowing that you can't see, not feeling like some sort of sense or some sort of ability has been taken from you, the silence, you're out of range, you're out of cell phone range, there's something, there's something that's very unclear here, and you haven't been able to speak about it, but it seems very alarming. It looks like something, it looks like a very out of control situation. It looks like not just an out of control situation, but a dangerous situation, a difficult situation. I mean, dominance is, there's hierarchies, but there can also be ways in which it's abused. Those hierarchies, those natural hierarchies are abused. So dominance can be just a very natural, ordering. but it can also be abusive. And so maybe something's looking like this. And there's a warning, though. I can't disregard the warning through the fog. There's a lack of clarity, and then there's something that's like cutting through all of that, cutting through the lack of clarity and the silence, and it's alarming. And then we have caching and ghosts. So these two seem of a piece to me, both because we have buried things. We have fog permeating like 4 cards here at this point. So we have the fog here that's just moving through, and hopefully not me in this reading again. And then the ghosts and the caching, they're stored. There's something that's stored here. There's something that was saved for later. There's something that's been saved for later, or that you are saving for later. You've maybe been collecting things, and this is another thing to put in your collection. But they're seeds. You could eat them now, or you could eat them later. Caching is storing. Like, maybe you got a warning and you saw a warning and you put it back there, and we're like, okay, we'll take this warning. I don't know what to do with it, so I'm gonna just put it over here. But these ghosts, saving, caching, saving up, saving for something. Between the mimicry and the fog, I mean, there's just a really confusing situation here. Very confusing and bewildering situation. Not quite sure what to do with it. But I feel like with the caching, there are things that both in the past, again, like last week, there's this past, present, and future that are sort of like all of a piece right now. They're all together right now. The past, present, and the future. The maiden, mother, crone. It's all like this. It's all together. It's all stored. It's like the collection is complete here. It's a collection. It's a savings. It's a collection. It's something that's been saved or is being saved. And then we have these ghosts, one of my favorite cards. It just really speaks very, well, I love ghosts quite a bit, or the dead. But it's not the time anymore, right? The past speaks about the past. And I think it speaks about memories. I think it speaks about people that are in the past. I think it could also speak about loved ones who have died, or things that have died, anything that has died, a loved one, a not so loved one, a pet. It speaks about death. There could be a health warning for somebody in here. Yeah, that the cherry seed, the texture thing seems strange to me too here. Like that's going along with the caching, right? The cherry seeds. It could just look like it's something else, but it could look like something else, you know? So if any of you are having like medical issues, this definitely seems like something to check out, to get checked out. Okay, so ghosts. Ghosts, things that belong in the past that are somehow carrying forward. I want to talk about like division and long division, and the like carry the two, and there's nothing to carry here. We shouldn't be carrying, you don't carry the zero. Something's sort of complete. It's been zeroed out. And it doesn't need to be brought forward. I think ghosts can also be about memories, and that caching thing is like memories too. And so often, like our memories of the past, they're there as warnings. They're warnings for the future to remind us you've already been here. But sometimes something just looks like something from the past. It isn't the thing that it is. But with this fog here, I'd say get something checked out. Something looks alarming and check into it further, because it's not, you can't see it right now. You don't have any answers right now. You don't know what's going on. You don't have any answers. Yeah, you don't have the answer yet. There's a lot of fog here. And the mimicry thing is telling me that there are a lot of questions to be asked yet. There may be red flags in a situation or things to pay attention to that have caught your attention. And I think this is saying, like, remember a past experience. You don't know what this is, but the past is definitely part of why this looks like something, and why you don't see and understand it. Oh, wow. We got a whole row of fabulous cards. And then underneath that, we got this whole row of really difficult energies. Not one of these crow cards is like, woohoo, let's go. They're all like, whoa, whoa, watch it. This is actually kind of alarming. Four of Swords overall for the reading from the bottom of the deck, underlying it, taking a break from something, sleeping it off. It's not done, it's not over, we just took a little break. Like when you take your lunch break at work, doesn't mean the day's over. You still have more to do, there's still more to do, but you just took a little lunch break. And maybe you recalibrated for the rest of the day, you fueled up for the rest of the day. You processed. There's probably been some processing of something that's gone on here. The past, a rest and a break has occurred in this. If somebody comes back from the past, this is like, it's going to be very confusing, and but they don't belong, they're not part of your future. Like oftentimes we can reconnect with the past. Sometimes we reconnect with people from our past family, past friends. Not past family, but because they're always your family, but family members you haven't caught up with for a while. And I think the warning is like, they belong there. That's the ghost, but it won't feel very clear, and it'll look like something it isn't. Either it's going to look like hierarchy that doesn't need to exist, or it's going to look not at all like the power play that it is. Okay, Four of Swords, and for some reason that brought up something on a break. Past, present, inner landscape, what's at issue, environment, to-do list, possible outcome. Yeah, there we are. This is so fascinating. In the recent past, we have Knight of Cups, someone bringing an offering of love, of affection. Knight of Cups would be a person that's brought an offer that of emotional, open sharing of emotions with this Knight of Cups. Courageous sharing of emotions. I want to say very strong feelings have been expressed here, very strong feelings. There's a tumultuous situation surrounding it. It perhaps felt divinely guided, but I see these flags on these towers, waving away in the background. Not just, and you know, and we've already talked about that. Like, what are these? Are these what does this look like versus what it is? What does this sound like? I find it interesting too that this one is speaking, is saying, "Come here, scout." And here we have the silence here. So there's something about what's being said, maybe, and what's not being said. So someone in the past with this like lovely, maybe even not love, maybe it is this whole like bouquet here of beautiful things. But with the darkness surrounding this night and the storm that this night emerges within from, it's interesting because there's this darkness and a wildness around this communication. The communication is calm and beautiful, but all around it is sort of this like turbulence. Eight of Swords, feeling helpless, like you can't move. Look at this. The selkie, it's the silence. Feeling like there's nothing you can do about this. It is a little bit of a mind trick though, that you can't do anything about it. No one looking at your situation would come to the same conclusion. Outside sources are not coming to the same conclusion, that there's nothing you can do about this, that you're helpless. Eight of Swords, maybe even a damsel of in distress is here, and certainly we do have damsel in distress with the fog. So, I mean, this is just wild. This Eight of Swords, if I could have combined these into one card, I would have called it the Eight of Swords. Just that helplessness. But it's in the mind. You're not helpless, or whoever this is isn't helpless. Is it you? Is it someone else? You know, what do we get out of being a damsel in distress? What's the benefit to us or to whoever is in distress? Like, we are all in distress from time to time, very genuine distress. That's where I want to say this mimicry is coming in here, because this mimicry also is talking about this Eight of Swords. Like, this mimics a prison, but it's not actually a prison. This mimics maybe, oh my gosh, in this prison thing, the dominance card here, this is mimicking a situation in which this person would be helpless. But the truth is, everything, and always with the Eight of Swords, the truth is that everything is very loosely tied. Freedom is available as soon as the mind can see it. Oh, that song, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, none but ourselves can free our mind. And this is always this card, like, and so it looks like a trap, but you're not actually trapped. And I'm not saying that because of the circumstances, I'm saying that because of a mind, a shifting in mentality that needs to happen. In the Eight of Swords in particular, not that there are not damsels or dams, damos, whatever the male equivalent of his damsel is. It's not because damsels, people aren't ever in distress. This one is very particular about the distress is up here. The limitations are up here. The situation doesn't warrant for any of this to be feeling down. And so that's really helpful, because I should have just moved on to these. The mimicry and the dominance here. It's mimicking prison, but it is not in fact prison. But because, you know, I often refer to this as my Shawshank card. There's like the prisoner that gets out and can't handle they can't shift the mind to, and for good reasons, they can't shift the mind to a new reality, and so they stay inside of an old reality. Oh, that's what this ghost here and this caching is here. They can't shift their mind to a new reality, so staying in the old reality would just rather go back to prison than deal with the reality out here. All right, so inner landscape, hopes, fears, Two of Coins, wanting perhaps, fearing of juggling things, wanting to have a new thing added in, This could also be like juggling two people, juggling two priorities, juggling priorities here. I think there's a sense of wanting to. Like, Two of Coins is like a transitional period. The Ace of Coins comes in, but you already have coins because you're like not a literal newborn baby. So you already have realities. You already have a reality that you're dealing with, and then when the universe gives you a second coin or another reality, then you have to like figure out how we're going to do both of these realities, how this reality and that reality are going to mesh. So anytime we do want these things to come into our lives, we do want these new experiences, we do want this new job, we do want this new apartment, we do want the new thing, we want it. But when it comes in, it creates a juggling. There's a shifting and turbulence that has to happen as the new coin gets integrated into basically a whole world of, like Smog. He gets some more gold, and he's got to figure out where to put it, and that might take some rearranging of his pile of gold. So because we're literally talking about coins here, so a little bit like you got this pile of a life here. You've got this life, you get a new piece of furniture, you got to rearrange the furniture in your living room to integrate this new piece of furniture. So that's always what the Two of Coins is talking about. And it can be a little chaotic. There can be some negotiation. Maybe we end up getting rid of a piece of furniture because we like the new one more or whatever, but there's some negotiation. And it looks like you might be wanting to negotiate something, wanting to do that, because what I'm feeling here is not dread and not frustration, but in some ways some pride. And so there is like a need, a desire to negotiate, with the new reality. What's that? Issue 3 of Wands in reverse. This is fascinating. A loss of faith, a loss of hope. Not seeing where something's going, not seeing something, not trusting. Well, this Eight of Swords is definitely not trusting. This could be not trusting in yourself, not trusting the path to be revealed as you move forward, not trusting that you aren't actually in prison, this isn't what this is. It's interesting because you're excited for a new reality, or for an addition to be made, maybe even like, you want a second child, right? And that's going to change the whole family dynamic. That's what Two of Coins is. Like you have a second kid, it changes the whole dynamic. So this Three of Wands, though, is like a lack of faith, a lack of hope, a lack of, like, you're not believing that something could come in, that something could happen. That's something, in a way, it's almost like not believing that this whole bouquet could come in, could be yours, not believing that, having these doubts. Are these doubts like warnings? In your environment, we have the Devil. I was just looking at the person that does this deck, Colonnade, MJ Colonnade. She's coming out with a new deck, and the Devil card in this new deck is really actually cool, and it looks a little bit like this Eight of Swords card, as far as like a bird trapped in a cage. And the Devil in the environment. So this could be a Capricorn. This could also be something that's just really difficult to get out of. Something, I see this redemption sign here, which is interesting with the Devil card, because it's contracts, agreements, right? Once the terms of the contract are set, it's very difficult to change the contract. So there could be a contract here. There's a sense of something easy to get into, but very difficult to get out of, right? We forget the temptations of getting into something and how difficult they can be to get out of them. But I find it interesting too, because then there's this Knight of Cups, and then underneath the Knight of Cups is this Devil energy, this trapped energy, which is what we're dealing with here, is this trapped energy. but it's just energy. It's just thoughts, thoughts about trapped, thoughts about being trapped, fears about being trapped, beliefs about being trapped and being stuck. And so, you know, what I find interesting with the Devil card is we have the Selkie, we have the silence, we have this dominance here. We have these, like, you know, and the way I had them laid out, we had the whole bouquet up here, and then, like, almost like the table the bouquet was sitting on was just nothing but red flags, warnings, you know, warning. We literally got warning, you know. So there are these flowers up here, but the dirt beneath this garden is looking, it looks bad. As far as this mimicry card is concerned, it's creating some fog about whether this is, you know, soil or dirt. The Devil card being underneath this Knight of Cups is just like the flowers over the crows here. Your to-do list, Two of Wands. Be practical and make some plans. I like the Two of Wands, the Two of Coins here. Making plans for something, being very practical about something. Well, if you're worried about it, you know, go invest. This is like investigation. Again, it's the two. So with the Wands, we've been handed this new inspiring idea. And then the two is like, well, but how are we going to do that? What's the practical application of this? Like, here we've been handed another new inspiring idea. And this is just sort of like being practical, doing investigations. I always talk about it as like the packing the trunk. Like, you want to go on this trip, okay, let's pack the trunk. Well, we've got, you know, our packing list. We've got spreadsheets. We've got, well, my packing list is on a spreadsheet thing for that kind of thing. But there's just like all sorts of practical matters, and you need to deal with them. And they could actually be what's causing this issue right here. Is there just could be some practical matters that you just don't feel like you can deal with. And this is like, you can deal with them. Go deal with them. Your boring ass to-do lists, go do it. Go do it. You're going to feel a liberation of this. You know, oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's too much. Or that's too big. Oh, that's too hard. It may not be too hard. You need to go take care of these details. This is Two of Wands is a very detail-oriented card. It's a very practical card. If you have these worries and these fears of some things looking like something else, but you just don't know, and you're remembering this time in the past when it was this bad thing, it was this terrible thing, go investigate. Like, again, like, go to the doctor, go to the accountant, go to the to-do list on your desk. Like, take care of it. This is a very practical card, as practical as you can get. Like, I don't know what's going on. Well, go find out. And I bet you anything, like, as soon, you know, there's just this movement that needs to happen. There's, you know, you put off doing something and then you do it and it took 5 minutes and you feel really good afterwards. That's what this is saying. It's like, go do the thing already. And you're very discouraged about it, but some very practical step is going to conquer that. In your future, Six of Coins, gifts, fair exchanges. It's a pretty good card. It's exchanging. It's balancing. It talks about karma too. And understanding that you could be in any position, whether you give, whether you receive. Any of these positions are things that you will be in the future. There's a generosity with Six of Coins. It comes under the Two of Coins. I think, like, if you're, and there's a balancing though, right? This rich person is giving to these poor people. I think part of this practice is understanding that at any minute you could be, well, depending on how rich they are, but you can be, you know, there's a sense of giving back to the community, maybe even volunteer work, but you could be any of these characters here, the one receiving, the one waiting to receive. But it's a card of gifts for the most part, and you could be the one giving too. It's a part of gifts, coming out of your comfort zone to give these gifts, balancing things out. It can be a card of taking turns, but it's like, whose turn? Right? So at one point it's not your turn and it's someone else's turn, and then at some point it's someone else's turn and it's not your turn. This is rectifying this dominance card. Like maybe this one is making the decisions and is the dominant one, but there's a sense too of reciprocation with that, I think. So yeah, giving and receiving. All right, let's move to the Wild Kuan Yin. So I feel like this Two of Wands could be researching something. This Two of Wands could be just being very practical about something. This Two of Wands could be like a to-do, creating the to-do list. Like, I feel overwhelmed. Okay, well, let's break it down into small pieces. All right, we have the quickening. The fast track with the Divine Mother moves us rapidly through life's challenges. The road can get a bit bumpy when traveling at her accelerated pace, nor will you often feel that you are in control of the navigation. I feel like this is bringing in this dominance one, being in control of navigation. This is part of, so oh my gosh, you're not even in control of the navigation. All right. This is part of the experience when you are to be moved rapidly with the divine help. Best to just hold on to her and trust you'll get where you need to be. Which is what you don't have here. You don't have a lot of trust right here. And then we, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I got two cards out of the deck. I just tossed one away without even looking at it, read you the quickening. And then here we have this one, trust, which is what you don't have here, trust. Trust what you feel the divine is communicating to you through the happenings around you. There is divine guidance in all things if we know how to feel and look for it. Through the heart without silencing our intuition with logic. So trusting your intuition, trusting the signs you're seeing. I think this is very hard because we have this fog, we have this mimicry, we have these sort of alarming things coming in, and we just have this lack of trust. So there's a sense of trust, but there's also not blind trust here. You are taking practical steps. I think without silencing, oh my gosh, again, the silence here, without silencing our intuition with logic. But it's not that we don't need to use logic. I think that there's a really great interplay between intuition and logic going on here. Because we do need to be, there's a sense of trust but verify. There's a sense of like, and this is the verify. If you can't trust right now, or you're having difficulty trusting because there's enough like red flags and alarm bells going off, then do the verification aspect. It's a very real world card. It's very real, concrete. Intuition meets the ground card. Intuition, yeah, these wands, literally standing on the ground with these wands, holding on to them. But that's a very balanced card of like feeling intuition about something and then also following up with some real world action. But looking for divine guidance. All right, trust in the quickening, and it's all about trust because this is where you're at. You're not trusting. And maybe because there's a break here, there's a pause here. So it's maybe creating opportunities for not trusting some sort of flow to actually be happening. But future looks good, generous, very generous future. All right, hopefully that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope your week ahead is wonderful.